So it was announced earlier today, and maybe a couple days ago, if I'm behind, that the Australian brand Holden is going to be discontinued and canceled and will be no longer in production of automobiles. And because I'm knowing that people on my channel are car guys, and there are car guys that watch my channel and stuff like that, I figured I'd talk about a subject that I've kind of wanted to get off my shoulders, and it is the fall of General Motors. Now, everyone knows that General Motors owns Chevrolet, Buick, Bahojan, Vauxhall, GMC, Cadillac, Opel, Chevrolet, Holden, and Buick, if I said those twice. General Motors is a huge organization in which they are in control of 8 car companies that have been successful throughout the years of their automotive production histories. And General Motors is loved by many people and also hated by many people for their actions and what they have done in the past and what they are continuing to do in the present. And I would like to talk about the reason I feel as why General Motors as a whole is going to become one of the most hated companies in automobile history. And it all really started in 2009 or 2008 when the United States hit the economic crisis where the stock market dropped and a lot of big companies were losing money and going in debt, and ultimately some companies went out of business. And mainly Detroit was affected by this most because they had so many companies in Detroit that were in production that either went in debt, went bankrupt, or needed a bailout to survive. General Motors was one of those affected by this, and they were asking the government for a bailout under Obama's power. And they were going to bail out General Motors, and they were going to fund General Motors their money. But in order to do that, they had to get rid of at least 3 car companies. And the 3 car companies that they decided to get rid of were Saturn, Hummer, Pontiac, and then they sold the Saab manufacturer to another company in Saudi Arabia or something like that, or maybe Dubai. Forgot which one, but they discontinued They made Hummer close their doors, they made Pontiac close their doors, and Saturn. Those 3 car manufacturers ended up going out of business and were never, in production ever again. Pontiac's last car was a Pontiac G6 meant to fill a fleet order. And Hummer, they had their Humvees, and I forgot which car Saturn and Hummer had as their last cars, but I know Pontiac had the G6 as their last car. And me, personally, if you guys watch my channel, you know I love Pontiac, and they are one of my favorite car manufacturers, and I'm saving up right now, if you didn't know, for a 2004 Pontiac GTO with a 5.7-liter LS1 motor, which is from a Corvette, but Pontiac redid the LS so it could fit for the GTO. It's a badass car. It's one of those forgotten American muscle cars I think a lot of people consider as underrated, and I'm saving up for it. So, I love Pontiac. I love Burt Reynolds in Smokey and the Bandit with the 77 Trans Am Firebird. I like the 2002 Trans Am. I love a lot of Pontiacs. And for you NASCAR guys watching this, Pontiac used to be a big part of NASCAR. Big names like Bobby Labonte, Smokey Yunick, Tony Stewart at one point, I think Jeff Green, for a portion of his career, drove Pontiacs. And Tony Stewart won his first championship in a Pontiac Grand Prix in 2002. Bobby Labonte, I believe, won the 2000 championship in a Pontiac Grand Prix. And Smokey Yunick was a proud owner, I'm pretty sure. I forgot, but I think he drove for Pontiac as well during his time. And Pontiac was such a legendary manufacturer. They started the muscle car era with the GTO in 1963 or 1964. They made the GTO and started the muscle car era. They also brought in the Firebird in 1967, and that allowed them to really grow as a car manufacturer. Sorry if you hear my cat in the background, but they really grew as a car manufacturer, and they started to become popular with the Pontiac Fiero after the economic gas crisis in 1971, I believe. They made the Pontiac Fiero, which was economical and fun to drive, and a lot of people loved it, and et cetera, et cetera. They also brought in the Aztek, which sure it was an ugly car, but it was ahead of its time, and it started really to build up the popularity of crossover SUVs within the United States and Europe. And you also had cars like the G8, which was a Holden Commodore from Australia. We'll get to Holden in a minute. You also have the Pontiac G6, which was just their last car in production because they had to fill a fleet order, is what I'm trying to say. So you had Pontiac, you had Saturn as well, which was a decent car manufacturer, but they had a couple of recalls, I remember. They weren't huge, but they had a lot of recalls. I'm not a big Saturn guy, I don't know much about Saturn, but I did know that they were an experimental manufacturer that started in the 90s and I think mid-80s, and they were just trying to be different than everyone else. They were trying to develop their own cars differently than every other manufacturer. And that's what made Saturn unique. And because Saturn wasn't doing well in sales at the time of the economic crisis, GM dropped Saturn. And Hummer was the third manufacturer to go. And Hummer was popular because celebrity Arnold Schwarzenegger thought that the Humvee as a military vehicle was a very cool car. And he was the reason. He was the first one to own a Hummer and allowed it on the streets. He was the reason that Hummer was able to make street vehicles for civilians. So, and then because Hummer, was totally different from other manufacturers, because they were kind of gas guzzlers, because they were big military-styled vehicles that would burn through gas and had horrible mileage. And at the time, Hummer wasn't doing well in sales because no one wanted to buy a gas-guzzling, military-inspired vehicle for the street and for daily driving. So Hummer ended up getting let go by General Motors because their sales weren't doing well either. But my problem with this really began the fall of General Motors because they were losing their fans, and especially me. Because I think, personally, here's my opinion on this. I would have, if I was General Motors, I would have gotten rid of GMC, Saturn, I still would have gotten rid of Saturn, and I would have still gotten rid of Hummer. Why would I have kept Pontiac? Because Pontiac was, in fact, doing really well in sales. Them bringing back the GTO, that got good sales. When they brought back the GTO in 2004 to 2006, that was getting good sales. The G8 was popular, so was the Aztek. It was getting more popular, and Pontiac was doing well in sales. So which is why I question why General Motors dropped Pontiac. The only logical thing I could have seen to why General Motors dropped Pontiac was because Pontiac was struggling trying to develop their own cars, which I guess I can understand because some of their cars were rebashed Holdens, but at the same time they were doing well in sales and they were ending up funding General Motors and giving them money from their marketing sales. So I don't understand why they dropped Pontiac. And this is not just because I'm a fanboy of Pontiac and I'm defending Pontiac. This is my logical explanation as to why I would have kept Pontiac. The reason I would have dropped GMC is because GMC, it's popular among people, but in my opinion, I would have dropped GMC considering they haven't had their own creative ideas. And I know you're saying, oh, well, Pontiac didn't have creative ideas. Yes, they did. Sure that some of their cars were borrowed from Holden, but at the same time, they retweak these cars and redid them to their own liking. But GMC, in my opinion, literally they just take a Chevy Silverado, get rid of the Chevrolet logo, and put a GMC logo on there and call it the Sierra. Same with the, the Chevy Traverse. I forgot what the car for SUV for GMC is called. The Yukon, I think. Oh, I know. The Yukon is pretty much a Chevy Tahoe, and that's also pretty much a copy and paste. But yeah, Chevy Traverse, they have a parallel to that, and then you have the Chevy Tahoe. Hold on, sorry, stupid computer, I know. You had the Chevy Tahoe, and then they would just rebrand it as the Yukon, and yeah, so it's pretty much a copy and paste. And GMC, sure, they were doing good in sales, but they didn't really come up with their own unique designs like the other manufacturers did. I still would have dropped Saturn and Hummer because, yeah, they were completely useless. I agree, General Motors. I'm glad they dropped Saturn and Hummer because even though Hummer was legendary, for the time that was, if this was like 1996 or the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, maybe Hummer still would have pulled through. But, for the time that the economic crisis happened and people were looking for more economical cars, I guess Hummer just wasn't, Hummer selling their cars, it just didn't fit what the market wanted and what the people wanted for a vehicle. So I still would have dropped Hummer, and I would have dropped Saturn considering Saturn was tanking in sales and they were doing horrible. So that happened. And then the economic crisis in 2009 was just the start of General Motors' fall. The second thing that started General Motors' fall was when they completely redesigned their cars. For example, the Chevrolet Camaro. After General Motors had this bailout in 2009 and dropped their manufacturers, yeah, they were hated. But the hate really began actually last year in 2017 when General Motors revealed the 2019 Chevrolet Camaro SS. Oh, that is an ugly car. I'll see if I can pull up an image of it right now. Let's see if I can. If you guys saw my Toyota Supra video from that when it was coming into NASCAR, I showed you guys a picture of the Camaro SS. And it's hideous. Let's see if I can find it. Hello, finger. And the reason I'm saying, oh yeah, this is bad that, that they made the Camaro SS look like this is because a lot of people that were fans of the Camaro, they loved the, yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, the thing that kills the Camaro fans and makes GM hate it even more is because the front end looks, it doesn't even look like a catfish like the Camaro 35th anniversary did. It literally just looks like an emo kid when he's at the park or in somewhere happy. Just motion, no personality, nothing to say, blank, boring stare. Now, the 2017 Camaro ZL1, that had a sleek and badass look. This one, they kind of cut off the front bumper and just put a grill everywhere. There's grill all over the front. And the lighting, the lights look weird, and the overall styling of the front end, and sometimes the back end's okay, but the front end just looks so ugly that the fact that they lost a lot of their Camaro fans, and ever since then, the sales for the 2019 Camaro, no one's looking to invest their money into the 2019 Camaro. And the reason I say that is because I see a lot of people doing car reviews of the Camaros, and they talk about the new Camaro SS that was revealed. And they said that, a lot of people don't want to invest money into General Motors for the Camaro anymore because of the way it looks. So General Motors ruined the Camaro for a lot of fans and longtime, Camaro owners. And they absolutely despise the Camaro now because it looks horrible. And General Motors is trying to, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know the thought process, which is why I can't really back up my words on this one. But there is another car that I can back up my words on for. And this is going to be the third reason, and this right here is the third out of fourth reason as to why General Motors is getting a lot of hate as of now. Let's see. So, it's been rumored for a while that the Chevrolet Corvette, a legendary American sports car that we still know and love today, it's been rumored since the 60s that they would make a mid-engine Corvette. And now I think it's been pretty much confirmed. The mid-engine C8 Corvette has been being tested by Chevrolet and General Motors around Europe, America, and it's been spotted being tested by Chevrolet. And they don't, of course, Chevrolet doesn't want you to take pictures of the actual car itself, and they don't want you to snoop around and, look for the car and put it out everywhere, because they want to keep it a secret and reveal it on their own terms so they get the credit. And, oh, good lord, this really pissed me off. I'll tell you the reason why General Motors is making the mid-engine Corvette. Now I'll tell you my reason as to why I don't like it. The reason Chevrolet and General Motors are making the Corvette mid-engine now for the C8 model is because of the fact that in IMSA, which is a sports car motorsport series, known by many and loved by many, including me, the class GTLM or GT2, that's where Corvettes race and compete with cars like the Ford GT, the Porsche 911, the BMW M6, and the Ferrari 458S. And it seems as if in IMSA competition, BMW and Chevrolet are the only two manufacturers in the GTLM class or GT2 class that use front-engine cars, and Chevrolet only has one win at Long Beach this year, and BMW has none, and they've been lackluster performance lately. And it seems like the mid-engine cars, like the Porsche 911 and the Ford GT, especially the Ford GT, the Fords have won, I think, six or seven out of the last 10 races in IMSA competition. In fact, they just won Road America, and before that, they won Lime Rock. And, Corvette Racing has only one win. That was Long Beach, due to a good strategy play by Tommy Milner and the 4-car team. And the reason that they're going mid-engine is because they feel like there's more downforce for the mid-engine car, and they feel like they're actually getting more power. And that's, they're watching Ford and Porsche, and I think Porsche has two wins. They won Mid-Ohio and Sebring, and Ferrari doesn't have a win. They're not even competing right now, and BMW still has none in their front engine with their M6. And Chevrolet is noticing Ford and Porsche's dominance because they're the top two manufacturers in GTLM competition as of now. They're looking at this dominance and thinking, hey, we might go mid-engine so we can maybe try to compete with this guy and be the top dog. So GM wants to make a mid-engine Corvette to be competitive with Ford and Porsche. Understandable. The one big flaw, I don't mind it being mid-engine. What do I hate about it, though? It's got a twin-turbo V6. The same engine as the Ford GT. The 2005 Ford GT was one of the most legendary cars ever, as well as the 1966 Mark I Le Mans. That won, actually, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the 2005 Ford GT had a V8, I forgot what liter it was, but it had a great-sounding V8, loved by many, and then the 2017 and 2016, or 2015 as well, maybe, Ford GT came out, and it had a fucking fart can called the twin-turbo V6. Sounds horrible, and the model for Ford, new Ford GT looks horrible with it as well. The Ford GT was ruined, and I think Ford knows this, and I think they, rumors saying that they're going to develop a new Ford GT as well. They're still going to make it mid-engine, but they're going to try to bring back the V8. But that's what ruined the Ford GT. And it seems like Chevrolet is doing the same route with the Corvette, and they're going to try to ruin America's sports car. The Chevrolet Corvette, a front-engine LS1, LS2, or LS3 V8 that's been known by many Americans, such as myself, and loved by many Americans, such as myself. is being destroyed because they are making a mid-engine, and that's not the problem. The fact that it's got a new body and it's being mid-engine, that's not the problem. The problem is they are getting rid of the V8. The thing I don't understand, I don't know why you put in the twin turbo V6. You're just trying to pretty much copy and paste Ford at this point, and you are literally trying to copy and paste Ford and trying to be exactly like them, so maybe your sales will increase. That won't happen because longtime Corvette lovers that like to invest their money into the Corvette are not going to like it, and I don't like it either. If aerodynamics at this point matter more than the engine itself. Corvette racing in IMSA is still even competitive with Ford, and they're still rocking the V8 front engine. If you want to go mid-engine, your aerodynamics will improve and you'll start winning races. Just keep the V8. Changing it to a V6 won't really improve. It won't improve. The aerodynamics of the car are going to improve more. And the aerodynamics of the C8 Corvette, the mid-engine Corvette, that's going to improve. But really, you're just turning off your fans when you're putting a twin-turbo V6, which is the same engine that ruined the Ford GT. I don't understand GM and why they're going with the V6. I don't know if it's something to do with they trying to be like Ford and they're trying to, increase in sales by doing that. I don't know what's going on there. But good Lord, GM, fuck you. You have made the worst decision ever besides dropping Pontiac. And maybe, same can be said for changing the Camaro. But still, bad choice. Bring back the V8. Don't change the model. I don't mind it being, you trying mid-engine. That's fine. Just bring the V8 in, please. And, maybe you won't get so much hate from people. And by the way, General Motors is declining in sales because of this stuff as well. So they're only shooting themselves in the foot, to be honest with you. Now, for my Aussie viewers. Hold on, my volume changed there. For my Aussie viewers, you guys know that Holden is an Australian car company. And they have helped America with cars as well. As you see here, this is a Holden VF Commodore. For you NASCAR fans again out there, you know this is the Chevrolet SS. You can thank Holden for this car. They brought this car into NASCAR and rebadged it as the Chevrolet SS. That's why Chevy had the Chevrolet SS in NASCAR, and that's why it was a street car. Because, for you NASCAR fans, type in the comment section, thank you Holden for the Chevy SS if you really like it. If you like the Chevy SS, thank Holden. Holden is a legendary Australian muscle car manufacturer and pretty much Chevrolet of Australia. And they have helped America, especially Pontiac and General Motors as a whole, bring in cars that the general public likes. Example, the Chevrolet SS is a Holden Commodore. Got good sales, but was discontinued. The Pontiac, when Pontiac brought back the GTO, they used the body of a Holden Monaro, which is another muscle car. The Pontiac G8 was a Holden Commodore. This is the Holden Commodore that was based off of the model of the G8. This is the old Commodore, and the Pontiac G was rebatched as a Holden. And then you have legendary cars from Holden, like the Monaro, which is right here. The Tirana, you have legendary cars. All made by this manufacturer, Holden. And a lot of Australians love Holden because Holden has given them all kinds of great cars, like the Tirana, the Sandman, the Monaro, all kinds of great cars that Holden has made. And Holden's such a legendary manufacturer. And again, they helped America bring in cars that we know and love today. So Holden has had such a big impact in the car community and the car industry as a whole. And a couple days ago, General Motors announced, and I was talking to my friend about this earlier, General Motors announced that they will be discontinuing Holden and they didn't even say why they're discontinuing Holden. And this, I think, is the cherry on top of the milkshake, or whatever you want me to say. Cherry on top of the cake, whatever. This pretty much does it for General Motors. Listen, General Motors, if anyone from General Motors is listening, why? Why did you get rid of Holden? So, what are you discontinue Holden, guess what happens? Cars like the Chevy Malibu, the Equinox, the Traverse, those cars with Chevrolet will get discontinued because they are rebadged Holdens, especially the Malibu. It's a twin-turbo diesel V6. That's what the Malibu is, the Chevy Malibu and the Holden Malibu. The Holden is the reason the Malibu, a family sedan, they're the reason that the Malibu exists. Okay, I'm pretty sure. And you get rid of Holden, Chevrolet will lose cars. General Motors will lose money because no one is going to want to invest. Because you are getting rid. The same thing with Pontiac. General Motors were tanking in sales after they got rid of Pontiac because people hated that they got rid of Pontiac. You're getting rid of Holden now. You are going to lose sales. No one's going to want to buy your car products. And any car manufacturer that is associated with General Motors, like Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, whatever. Now that you're getting rid of Holden, American cars will not get produced as much because Holden won't be importing cars to the U.S. to get rebadged for American use, and you're going to tank in sales. That's really all I have to say about Holden, because, I like Holden. I think they have some cool cars. I love the Monaro. Wow, General Motors. And that pretty much concludes my video, because they're getting rid of Holden, one of the most legendary manufacturers, and General Motors knows that they haven't been doing in sales. Now that you're trying to sell and get rid of Holden because you think you're gonna get some money in the long run, General Motors, think to yourself, are you really going to benefit from selling a legendary manufacturer such as Holden? Nobody in Australia is going to want to buy your products anymore because you're getting rid of a manufacturer they know and love for absolutely no reason. You didn't even say why. The only logical reason as to why I could think you're getting rid of Holden is so you can get more money for your company. Kind of like the bailout with Pontiac and Hello Me. Don't get rid of Holden, GM. Fuck's sake, don't confirm this and get rid of Holden. I know you guys said you're going to get rid of it. Don't fucking do it. You get rid of Holden, you're only going to shoot yourself in the head. I wanted to make this video because, like I said, it was recently announced that they're going to shut down Holden and discontinue all Holdens in production. Don't know when the final car for Holden will be made, but, you know, it's been told by General Motors executives and stuff like that, so that's why I made this video, because I think, in my opinion, General Motors is going down a hill, and I think people know that too. I want to put this video out there to let you guys know what's going on with Holden and stuff like that, and why I think General Motors isn't going to last very long. That's the end of my video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.